Hello, guys. I guess Rand's not going to make it today. Um, so I've got a little crick in my knee. You know, sometimes you twist your knee or something, and it gets a little crick in it or whatever. So I'm gonna lay off doing anything here. But you guys need to warm up. So, Catherine, why don't you lead us in the first section of the form, and then Jill, you can lead.
Okay.
You all know he's not around anymore, but do you all remember Vladimir Horowitz, the great
Mm,
pianist?
mm,
He was asked, he gave a concert and then did an interview afterward. And a columnist, I think, for the New York Times, mentioned to him, asked him a question, said, you flubbed one part. You made a mistake. You played the wrong notes. Why did that happen? And Horowitz said, it happened because I'm a human being. I'm not a machine. You know, the important thing is, trust me, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I've been doing this for 40 years, and every time I do the form, I see things I'm doing wrong, and I discover new things that I had never quite thought of that way before. Master Fung, who'd been doing it for 65 years, said exactly the same thing. The learning never stops, right? Okay, Jill.
Oh, and I just wanted to mention, I'm gonna need to leave at a quarter to,
Okay,
uh,
good.
um, okay.
Uh, so, Jill, you look like you're dressed to go somewhere.
Yes.
And where are you heading?
We are heading into the Presidio, and
Uh-huh.
we have an appointment at Lucasfilm
Uh-huh.
to go shopping at the company store.
Okay, all right. I thought maybe we were going to see you in the next Star Wars movie, but
No, no, no,
you're
no,
just shocked.
nothing quite. No, it's a courtesy within the film industry that they
Uh-huh.
share access to. Ordinarily, the average person can't go in and do that. So,
Well, you are hardly the average person, so very good.
well, it's not me who got us in the door,
Oh,
but
oh, oh.
but then afterwards we're gonna go for It's the extension of our
The extension of the
15th
anniversary.
anniversary. Yes.
Yes, you all know it was Jill's 15th anniversary the other day. So,
Yes, on Friday. So,
all right,
um,
very good.
mhm.
All right, so let's go back and pick up where we left off yesterday with Catherine doing the first move, and I'm going to just recap what we did on that very first move of the very first move. All right. So the first thing that you want to do is establish where the yin and yang cycles are. All right. So the first one was boom, was there. The second thing you want to do is determine where the yin part of that is and where the yang part of that is. So this is the yin part, and that's the yang part. And then the third thing you want to do is establish really the XINYI, what you can do with either of those parts. Lots of times, a part, say a yin part, is not just a matter of winding up for the yang. You actually use the yin for something. All right? So, in what I explained yesterday, somebody's got your hand here. That's the yin part. Well, watch what happens to my hand. All right? I no longer have a very good grip. So you could say that one of the aspects of the yin part of that is getting ready for the yang part. Positioning yourself, moving your energy, getting everything set up to shoot the arrow, and then shooting the arrow is the yang part. But you also are actually doing something, right? So you could say it's a defensive part of the move, right? Because I'm not attacking the guy, but I'm changing the equation between us and repositioning. I'm repositioning myself, but I'm also repositioning the other guy, right? And then yang, boom. For the next move, I'll do the next move too, and then we're going to go back to Catherine and have her finish it. The next move, I'll do it because I've already explained this a whole bunch of times. All right. So boom. Now the next move. Here's the yin. Here's the yang. Here's the yin. Here's the yang. Well, the yin, obviously, you're winding up to do the yang, right? The yang is essentially a strike forward into the solar plexus. If you're going to do that, you've got to wind up first, right? I need to be back here so that I can go forward. So I'm coming back, and now I'm going forward. But you actually use the yin for something. Something really important. So, the guy's got his hands, he would have both hands on your chest, for instance. And so what you do is you don't come up and try to grab his hand. What you do is you come up underneath his arm, actually right underneath his elbow, if you can find it, right? And you roll it. You roll this. You're rolling your danchin. You roll this, and that's going to kind of roll him in. And usually, what people do is react the opposite way. He will start to pull back, and that's when you change from yin to yang and you help him do what he wants to do, which is go backwards, right? It's very simple. Once you know it, it's very simple, right? So this is a defensive move, pulling him back in, right? And you can do that very subtly, right? Just roll him gently back in, or you can pull him back in. You hook your hands up inside his elbows, right? And what you do is you bring your body up into him, but you stay in your back. All right? I'm in my back. And now watch. I'm going to go to my front. All right? I'm in my back and then into the tangent. Boom. So it can be very subtle. Um, a lot of Tai Chi works by suggestion. You can actually make suggestions to the other person somatically. So Master Jean was great at this. You didn't even notice it consciously. But say I had my arm here, he would just go like this, just a little motion. And that would work. Why would it work? All right? Why would this work? What would happen is you would come in more, which is what he wants you to do. He wants you to come in more here, and then he's going to tip you over the other side there. So he doesn't grab you and pull you in. I mean, that's another option. He might do that, but instead he might just go like this, or he might even just go like this. Why would that work to change somebody's physical body? Say, say this isn't a stick, it's another person, right? And I go like this. What's happening inside their head?
Well, to me, it's because it's not an aggressive thing that it kind of would potentially relax them and put them off their guard.
It does. Not only is that true, but because it's not aggressive, it flies under the radar. In a way, they don't even notice it, but their body notices it. It doesn't necessarily rise to consciousness, but subconsciously the body feels this motion. Of course it feels it. You might not really focus on it or even be conscious of it, but your body's going to notice this. So some part of your mind is going to trace this line. And where your mind goes, your chi will go. It isn't something you have any control over, all right, in that way, unless you're very highly trained. All right? So what's going to happen is just this, it's like a subliminal suggestion. Catherine, you know the word subliminal in English, right? It's subliminal.
It's the same word in French.
There you go. All right. So it's subliminal, right? But what you've done is you've changed his energy. In a sense, you've controlled his mind. You've exerted a little control over his mind by doing this. It seems like it's not a big deal, um, but it works. All right? So you're wrestling with some guy and you just pull like this, and all you have to do is change his energy. Instead of his energy coming this direction, now his energy is going that direction. He may not even move physically, right? But you can see, instead of going backward, he goes forward. Jill, you're training to be a therapist, yes? This would be an excellent thing for you to learn. I'm serious. Suppose you're talking with some guy, right? So I'm your client, right? Suppose I suppose we talk and suddenly I go like this. Or suppose I go, I'm sending one energy is going back and the other energy is coming forward. And as a therapist, you need to be aware of that, right? Even in just non therapeutic human conversation, there's always that back and forth.
Mhm.
And if you're going to be socially adept, you need to be aware of that. I said something bad, I offended that person. Or I said something that really interests that person. If you're going to be a therapist, you really need to be aware of that because
Well,
that's how
it's, I
that's how
mean,
they're
this one,
communicating
this,
with you.
yeah, this one is particularly because it is just like, it's the, I'm not listening.
Yeah, well,
You can say anything and it's like, whatever it is, it's like a putting up a shield.
I'm a Republican and I believe what I believe, and that's it.
That's,
Right?
well, there's a good example. Yes.
Well, you could say the same for the Democrats, for that matter.
True.
Um, so, the truth is we do this kind of subliminal stuff all the time. There are also people who specialize in it, right? They're, they're,
Special operatives who
yeah,
deal
they are
in body
special
language.
operatives.
And yeah.
They're
Well,
psychopaths, right? They're people who manipulate other people as kind of a day. It's like what Trump does all the time, and most politicians do, but Trump's an expert in it. He's the world's greatest con man. All right, so I hate to say it, but part of Tai Chi training is learning to be a con man, learning to trick people. All right, if you can change someone's mind by making a small subliminal motion, it's worth knowing how to do that. Anyway, yin, yang. Now, maybe you don't, we say we had never gone through this before, so you don't know, because I haven't told you that actually you're going into someone's solar plexus. But you still might be able to make a pretty good guess. All right? Okay, well, he's coming in and then I'm going out. At the very least, you can say I'm just shoving somebody, right? Or punching at them, right? Yes? Makes sense? Okay. Now, the next move, right? Okay, so Catherine, go. Analyze it for us.
Mm. I thought about it a long time. I
Okay.
even woke up last night thinking of it. And okay, I don't know. I'm not sure of what I'm gonna say. I would say I'm grabbing someone by the shoulders and I'm pulling him down.
Yeah.
But in terms of the Pong, Lu, Chi, I'm lost. I don't know. I have
Okay.
really troubles with that.
Well, that's what makes going through this valuable, is we can find the places where you're not sure, fill that in, and all these things that we fill in will not just apply to that move, they'll apply to every move.
Mm.
So I think once you do this a dozen times or so, then it's okay, your brain's going to finally get it and pretty well be able to do it. So let's take that movement. That particular movement, we've been working with the first four energies of Tai Chi, Peng Jian.
This one is a different
Move,
one.
this move is not on those four.
Yeah.
It's a move called plucking, sai. Right? Plucking means the metaphor they use is you've got an apple tree in your yard and you pluck an apple out of the tree. It's a kind of plucking motion, right? Pluck, pluck. Now, when we do this move, our feet are side by side. But in reality, if you were really doing it, you probably wouldn't do it that way. You probably would reach up around their shoulders and then step backward. and pull them down. Now, you maybe would pull them all the way down to the ground if you got the right angle on everything, or maybe you just sort of disrupt their balance a little bit. So you just pull them a little bit and then you go on to the next move. Right? But that's the basic idea. So Peng Lu Jian, right? Relax. Peng. On G. Peng Lu on G. Peng. So there's expansion, then there's a kind of moving forward. And you're moving forward on both sides, so it kind of cancels out. But it's Peng and then move forward like you're going over somebody's shoulders. You could define that as G energy. Right? Peng, G, on. All right? On is going down. Peng, G, on. All right? So it's actually very, very simple. A lot of
Why is
times,
that G why is that G up there?
G is energy that goes out from the body by squeezing the body. So that's G energy. All right. Is there some Peng in there? Sure. Peng, G. All right. This is Peng, G. And then pull down again. You think about you're going to come up over this guy's shoulders, you know. Peng. Don't forget he's sort of wrestling around with you, so you're probably not going to be able to come up like this because he's in the way. So you're probably going to have to come up like this and then go over. So Peng, and then as you go over, what powers that? What powers that motion?
Yeah, it's G, but at the same time, in this movement, to me, it's not. I mean, it's not the way I imagine G.
Okay, well then what is it? If it's not G, and listen, there's nothing wrong with having a different answer. You just have to be able to back it up.
Well, of course, I don't know how to back it up. So, but when I imagine the movement in my head,
Yeah.
Of course you're right and I'm wrong, but it's just difficult for me to imagine the G at here up there. I have really troubles imagining.
Well,
All right,
imagine you're poking him in the eye.
Yeah, imagine you're poking somebody in the eyes.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. Yes. Right. Okay.
All right, let's go to Jill. We'll come back to Catherine. Jill.
Yeah, actually, just a thought on that one is how does G relate to, like when you talk about opening and closing, that close is G that closing energy when you're going into your Ming Men?
You mean here when you're coming down?
Well, I'm just thinking like in general, because it's like the way I always think of like this movement is that it's going out, so you're putting your energy into your back, so you'll be in your Ming Men.
If you're moving forward, you're right. Your
Yeah.
energy is going to go backwards, and
Right.
if you're up above, you're going to go back and down.
Right. And when I
Jill?
think of, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
When I think of when you're going back, you're going to be in your Ming Men, and when you're in your Ming Men, you're closing.
Oh, you're closing your trunk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or is that too
yes, yeah.
simplistic.
I mean, yes and no, because I mean, first of all, don't forget that all the Penglujian, all the theory, all the talk is just words.
Right.
There are words that are being used to describe something that is much bigger than the words themselves. And so at a certain point, movement is going to leave the words and theory behind. So when you're moving out like this, right? Um, that's not a motion of closing, and yet you are closing inside. It's not just that you're going back; it's that you're going back and squeezing. Boom,
Mm.
boom, boom. Right? You could to get back to Catherine, you could make a case for that being Lu energy, because you're spinning on your axis here and you're spinning on your axis here. The two cancel each other out physically, but energetically, you still are spinning on one side and spinning on the other, right? I sort of define it a little more as G, because I see it as fairly aggressive move, right? And then pull down. But you could make a reasonable, acceptable case for Lu. You're not going to call it Peng, and you're
No.
not going to call it On. So the words carry you so far, and then they don't. They're not gonna, that burro is not gonna, that donkey's not gonna carry you any further. So you just have to go, well, what am I actually doing? Right? Well, I'm coming up onto somebody's shoulders, preferably close to their neck, and then I'm actually going to squeeze a little bit and then pull them down. That's actually what you're doing. Now, if you just go by the form, you might not see that, because, wow, it's very quiet, right? But the truth is, it might be something much closer to that.
I need to leave here. So
Oh, okay, Jill. Well, have fun. We'll see you next time.
thank you. See you.
Um, I'm sure you are feeling the frustration that we all felt about when I was learning this too. Is it Lu? Is it Chi? Is it Peng? Is it Sai? Is it Leia? Right? The truth is, it's a little fuzzy from time to time, and you just have to accept that and realize that the point of it is to have you engage with that part of the motion,
Yeah.
and then go, okay, well, I'm really clear. I'm really clear that that's Peng. I'm not so clear about what this next part is. Okay, well, now you know something. Now you know two things. You're clear about one thing and you're not clear about the other. And it might be a couple of years before you become clear about the other point. It's that way for everybody. Catherine, does this make sense?
Yes, it does. I mean, it's exactly what you said. It's fuzzy, but it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm learning something. That's the main point.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's no the fuzziness is there for everybody. My own feeling is about 80% of it's really clear and about 20% of it's a little fuzzy. But even if a situation like this is a little fuzzy for you, well, that's all right. You know it. You've identified it. So
Yeah.
just work on it a little bit as time goes on. Okay, why don't you finish out the move, Catherine?
Okay. So, and this is An,
Yes.
and to me there is no chi at the end.
No, there's no what?
There is just an, and then I don't know. I'm pushing the guy down, or I'm pushing the guy like this.
If it was me doing this and doing the form, that kind of downward motion, it's real. I'm calling this on, but really it should be side. It should be plucking,
Side.
right?
Hmm.
So let's say side, but side is actually closely related to on. So anyway, so on or side, and uh, you don't when you do the form, right? You don't go all the way down to the ground.
No.
Right? You just come down like this, physically, but mentally, you take your energy all the way down underneath your feet, and you let it settle in there, underneath your feet in the ground, and then you come up out of that into the next part. So, right, this ends the motion. Now ends that cycle. Now comes a new cycle. And again, all the way down underneath your feet. Yeah, good. Good. Now, when I was watching Catherine there, you can see her physical motion is fine, but what I was watching was her energy motion, and she's doing it correctly.
Yeah, because now I understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very complicated, I have to say. Right now it feels very complicated, but
I know exactly what you mean. I've said it before, I'll no doubt say it again. As time goes on and you understand more and more, it will simplify. It will all simplify. And you'll go, oh, oh, it's actually much simpler than it looks. This is, to me, this was very much like learning a new language, just from ground zero. And it's one thing to do that as a kid because it's kind of natural and it's easier, but to do it as an adult is much more difficult. This is a language, and you are learning this new language, and at first you've only got a couple of words, and just it doesn't all hang together. It's confusing. What do you think, Rand?
I'm just thinking about Peng Lujian.
Okay, so the fourth yin and yang cycle in this move is very simple. Right? Hong, Lu, on. Boom. Very simple. It's actually it's very. We've got four yin and yang cycles here, and three of them are basically repetitions of each other. Right? Here's the first one. All right. Here's the second one. That's a repetition. Here's the third one. That's the opposite. And here's the final one. That's also a repetition. So you could just look at those three, right? Those reverse Lee circles. 1, 2, 3. They're just each a different size. One is baby bear, Papa bear, and Mama bear, right? They're just the three sizes: small, medium, and large. Is that clear, Catherine? Yeah. Now there's some other slight variations in there, but basically they're the same thing. That's what I mean about it simplifying, because as you go on and you start to see, oh, that first move, 3/4 of they're just three. You do it 3 times. You're just doing 3 times, 3 different sizes,
Mm.
3 different functions, but it's basically the same thing. Let's all do it. Peng Lu An. Peng Lu An Qi. Peng Ji Sai. Peng Lu An. And then just remember as you're doing this, once you get the physical choreography down, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Then pay attention to the energies. There, 99% of it is the first 4 energies. There are a couple of tsai in here and there, right? But pay attention to those energies and make sure that you're touching on each of those energies. Peng, Lu, An. And then when you do An, or Tsai, right, go all the way down to the ground.
Mm.
Not necessarily physically. You might not see much physically. But mentally and energetically, you go all the way down to the ground. Remember, I said, Master Zhang used to say so often, he would say, every movement, all the way, all the way, all the way. Don't stop, go all the way. All right? He would say that so often, we actually had a t-shirt made that said every movement all the way. I think I might still have it, actually. All the way down. You know, when you've got an hourglass, all the way means the glass itself and the cage, that's your physical body. The sand is your energy body. When Master Zhang was saying all the way, what he means is let all the sand go down.
Mm.
Let it all go down and then move your physical body.
Mm.
All the way, and then go. It has to do with a lot of things, but one of the things it has to do with is the ground reaction force. I'm standing on concrete, and you'd think, well, concrete, I mean, it's concrete, you know. But the truth is, it can act like a trampoline. You can bounce on it, right? This guy's losing his air, but it bounces. And it's the same when you do Tai Chi. You can bounce off that. Bounce off that. So watch. Hit the ground and then bounce off. Now you're already touching the ground physically, so he's not. The old masters were not saying hit the ground physically. You're already in physical contact with the ground. What they're saying is hit it energetically and bounce off the ground energetically, which means you need to use your mind to touch the ground, and you can feel this. You can feel it. Oh, boom, there it goes. It's like, boom, right now I'm at my knees. Mentally, I could feel, my feeling is at my knees. That's too early. You have to go all the way down. Oh, now it's at my ankles. That's too early. Oh, now it's underneath my feet and I'm touching the ground. Now I can bounce up. So you take your time. once you learn to do this, then you can learn to do it fast. It doesn't have to be slow. The learning process is slow, right? The truth is, right, you touch the ground, you instantly, boom, and move from the ground. But you have to start slow to train yourself with the feeling. Boom, 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 right? And eventually you get it where you don't have to go down physically really slow. You've already trained yourself to do that. You've trained yourself just like with the Alexander technique directions. You would say physically you're not going to move, but mentally you're going to move your energy down to the bottom of your feet. And when it touches the bottom of your feet, you're going to bounce up again. Boom. Make sense, Kevin?
Yes, but the execution part is another story.
Well, thank you. That's a great answer. There is the tried and tested way of learning to do this is to do it very slowly and just pay attention. Feel, 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 pop, boom. You just keep doing that for a year or 2 or 3, and eventually you get to the point where, oh, okay, I can actually do that really quickly now, right? Because I know what I'm doing. Yeah, Kevin.
To feel it, you've really got to get rid of everything else you're thinking about, and then concentrate on, well, not it's not really concentrating. It's not concentrating. It's just experiencing what's going on, because I feel all sorts of weird stuff going on in my body I never felt before. I can feel the microseconds I can actually root to the ground. I can't bring it back up very quick again, but I have learned though that if it hurts or is difficult, I'm not doing it correctly.
Yeah,
And all you need to do is you might just need to move a smidgen, and then everything feels better.
yeah. It's the truth is it's very easy. It's very simple. But finding it is difficult, right? Um, Catching the fish is easy, but finding the fish is difficult, right? So, but the truth is, this is why they invented the forms. I mean, there's other reasons too, but this is one of the main reasons, and it's probably the main reason the form is done slowly. Because you have to. The truth is, the teacher can't train you. You have to train yourself. And the only way to train yourself is to pay attention. All right? So when you go down, the teacher's telling you, pay attention, go down, feel under your feet, feel your momentum go down. Your momentum goes down, and it's going to, at some point, you will feel it touch the ground. And when you feel it touch the ground, don't just let it go slop like you dropped an egg on the ground. It's not like dropping an egg down there. It's like the bouncy ball, right? It touches and it bounces off. Touch and bounce. Touch and bounce. It's easy, Catherine.
It will be at one point in this life or another.
It will be. And watching you do it today, as a teacher, I am pleased with your progress. It looked very nice. It was really, your energy was really moving. Okay, guys, have yourselves a great day. We'll see you next time. Ciao.